Hey, this is Jen Eskridge from Quiltable. I wanted to show you today how I make the fat quarter bin, which is a digital pattern available on Quiltable.com. So I currently have my fat quarter bin set up by color, but sometimes I just don't want to break up a fat quarter bundle like this one. It has a lot of different, range here with the red, blue, cream, little brown. Anyway, I don't want to break it apart. So what I've done instead is got a whole bunch of fabric scraps from my bin that kind of represent the colors that are in this collection. And I'm going to use this as my fat quarter and stitch out a bin right on it. So I'm going to base this down and I'll show you how I stitch it. Okay, I have my homemade fat quarter size scrappy piece of fabric together and basted onto my Annie's Soft and Stable foam instead of batting. You can use batting, but the batting is not going to be as firm and hold that box shape once the fat quarter bin is done. And I also have my design queued up and set within this basted space. So all I have to do now is pull up my threads and hit go. I went ahead and stitched out 2 fabric bins. I showed you this first red, white, and blue one on a time lapse, but I went ahead and added a cave facet fat quarter also because I sort of have these that I don't want to break up either. I know the struggle is real. I have my fat quarter bin off the long arm and I just have it trimmed out so you can kind of see where I'm aiming. But I'm going to use my rotary cutter now to trim this whole stitched out thing right where the edge of the stitching line is. Actually, you can see it better on the back because I used a gray thread. So I'm going to use this as my guide. So I'm just going to set my ruler right on the edge here and trim. All right, I'm ready to put my finishing touches on my fat quarter bin. So I'm going to match right sides together and sew these corner darts. And this is going to give the box its shape. I'm really just lining up this unstitched, unquilted gap there, my seam allowance, right on top of the other side. And I'm going to sew directly on this edge line here. And go ahead and backstitch when you start. I guess the bin's not going to take that much stress, but it never hurts. And I'm going to repeat that on all 4 sides. So. Okay, here is the outside of the box. Coming right up. The last thing you need to do is apply a regular folded double binding to the top edge. So this is one width of fabric about 40 inches. I'm going to apply it to the inside of the box. So all the way around, and then when I flip it to the outside, I gotta tell you, I'm just gonna glue baste it because it's not gonna take any wear and tear. So I'll get this applied. Okay, we're ready to finish the fabric bin. The binding was applied super fast, like you just saw. And the next thing I'm going to do, since this isn't going to be laundered or used other than to hold fat quarters, because I know how I'm going to use it, I'm just going to go ahead and glue baste my binding all the way around the top to finish the edge. Once it's glue basted, you can always go back and sew it. I just am probably not going to do that. Refreshing honesty right here on the internet. And I try to put it on pretty light, you know, where I'm smearing it in. And if I find any gaps later, I can go back and put a little glue up underneath where the gap is. And then I'm using these clips to hold the fabric in place while we're waiting for the glue to dry. Okay, I went ahead and put the binding on my Cafe Facet fat quarter bin as well, and I'm ready to put all of these guys in. So I'm gonna set them in, tip them towards me slightly so they're a little bit flatter than the size that they're folded, and slide that right into place. And I also have the red, white, and blue. Biggest question is deciding which end will show on the front. And I can safely say I don't care which end shows on the front. So same deal, I'm gonna set it in, tip it forward a little bit so that they all lay a little bit flatter than when they were folded at the factory. Since I still have the ribbon for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and keep it on the side. So if I ever need to go back and buy binding or buy something to go with it, I know what it is. And then this guy's ready to go in place. These things hold a lot of fat quarters, but maybe this one has too many. No, I'm just kidding. There's never too many. Okay, that's what they look like now. Couple more bins to go.